Thank you. Okay, today we're going to start the bottom line of Lamed Tes Amud Aleph. Amar Rav, it's 39a, bottom line. We thank Hashem that you're able to learn Torah every day, and this is our learning Hashem Beis Hamikdash immediately. So we're learning for Shleima from my father and for Naftali ben Menuch Bela. Amar Rav, teaching from Rav. Chaves Aser B'Chesem Echad. The word chavis literally means a barrel, but here it's not we're not looking at the word, we're looking at a mnemonic. It's a Rashi Tevot of, as we'll see in a minute. It says, but this acronym, this mnemonic, all of these things that it's listing, you need to have two seals in order to use it. It's not enough to have just one seal. Be double sealed. Champag, oh, that's mutter b'chesem echad. That you only need one seal, it just has to be one cover. What are these things that we're allowing here? So it says, goes like this. The first one, chavis, is an acronym for chalav, basar, yayin, and tchelas. Chalav means milk, meat, wine, and tchelas, which is the blue dye, the purple dye. That you only need. That you need a double seal to use that. So milk has to be doubly sealed, meat has to be doubly sealed, wine needs a double seal. And the tchelas has to have a double seal. The tchelas says shouldn't be mixed up with kala ilan, with that other. Rashi says that why are these things need a double seal? Because they're more expensive. Taisvis, on the other hand, Rabbeinu Ephraim bar David, he says that it doesn't have to do with more expensive. He has a proof for it. In the end, he says the Taisvis, another opinion, Taisvis accepts Rashi's pshat. Okay. All of these are asurim b'chesem echad, prohibited if they have one seal. We're on top of Lamed Tes from page 39. Champagne is mutter with one seal. They're all suggesting that maybe they meant to say champagne.
No, it's like an easy trick to remember. We don't have to be so strict. One seal is fine.
I'm fine. Okay. It would be better if it's the opposite. Champagne has the double seal on it. It's the metal thing. Well, what's the thing? What are the ones that are allowed with one seal? That's chiltis. Remember we spoke about chiltis. I don't remember how it was translated, but it was a very sharp, probably root vegetable, probably. And we said the problem with it was the knife. It was cut with a knife that may have had fat on it, non-kosher fat. So that's fine to have one seal. And then Murius said was this fish oil. In some places it was very expensive. This is one of the reasons why Tosfos doesn't accept Rashi's pshat. It's just because Murius in some places is very expensive. Why would you say that it's permissible with one seal? Pas is the bread, only needs one seal. And gvina and cheese only needs one seal. I recently bought cheese in Publix. Publix has a kosher section, and then they have the kosher cheeses and Bubby's pickles and everything. It wasn't Chol Yisrael. The package looked exactly the same, and in Hebrew it says that it's not Chol Yisrael. Something like loy something, I don't know. So it was very confusing because everything looked the same except for the word no.
Someone that is not very fluent in
Yeah.
Hebrew.
Everything the same, even like the kosher symbol looked the same. It just you had to look carefully. It said not. Anyway, brought
up by the same company.
Same company.
Yeah.
They make two lines, one.
Yeah.
What kind of Jewish people can take the non-colors?
People that are more lenient. Not the Hasidim.
So,
Hasidim want it. Well, okay. So all of these things are mutter b'chaysim echad with one seal. The Gemara, well, actually, the Bach says that we're missing a bunch of words here. But anyway, let's read it. What the Gemara says. Pastel my nechashla. What are we concerned about the bread? I think what the Gemara is suggesting here is that. Oh, Rashi says to take it out. Rashi says take out this whole thing. All right, we'll read it anyway. But if you're concerned that maybe he's going to switch one bread for another, krira b'chamima, may the yadiyah. 1 second, one bread you just baked, another one is already cold. So the difference between hot and cold that you'll be able to see right away. So the chiti b'sayri, maybe you're going to switch a wheat bread with a barley bread. Nami may the yadiyah. That's also very obvious. You're going to be able to tell. And if you want to say that they were exactly the same, and one of them is not kosher and one of them is. And second, so then one symbol would be enough that would stop a person from doing that. It's sort of like the person gains nothing by switching a kosher for the non-kosher. Doesn't gain anything. So why would he do it? So you don't have to be worried that maybe that would have happened. Rav, Rav told us is he made two categories: a group of 4 that he says you need a double seal, and a group of 4 that you need that a single seal is enough. In the double seal one, he said milk. In the single seal one, he said cheese. So what's the difference? Why is he's more concerned that he's going to switch the milk than cheese? What? We said that the milk was a different color. Or maybe it was mixed in, and then you can't tell the color. But if you mixed in, then the cheese, we said also it was mixed into the cheese. Yeah, but we thought it was mixed in between the holes. So, what's the difference? So Amar Rav Kana says, you got the acronym wrong. That's one of the problems with acronyms, is that it could be mistaken for something else that starts with a ches. He says it wasn't, he didn't mean chalav. He meant chatichas dag. He meant a slice of a fish that doesn't have the sign on it, doesn't have the skin. And so you can't tell that it has scales. Okay. That's Rav Kana explaining Rav. Rav Kana is a student of Rav. The Gemara says, 1 second, but chatichas dag, hainu basar, that's the same thing like meat. So people are confused during the 9 days. Are we allowed to have meat? Fish meat, there's also meat. So the Gemara says, Trei gavni basar, no, there's 2 types of meat. There's this meat and there's that meat. This one only needs, actually they both need chatichas dag and then basar. They both need a double seal. According to Rashi, it would be because expensive. Yeah, very good. Okay. That was Rav. Shmuel Amar. Shmuel says, base, aser b'chaysim echad. Mecheg mutter b'chaysim echad. If you notice, Rav had 4 things. Shmuel only has 3. So he dropped the chatichas dag, and he also dropped the chiltif. Base. And mecheg. No, he dropped pas. Dropped pas. So he has 3 and 3.
That's a good acronym for that you require too. Base.
Oh, base. Yeah, very good. Yeah, maybe Rav was alluding to that with the ches beis. Anyway, mecheg was a man de machvi, the macheg. Macheg was just like a snap or something. Like anyway, what are they? The base is basar yain and chelas. Is the meat, the wine, and the blue dye. Asurim b'chesim echad. Those are not allowed with just one symbol. In Murias, however, the fish oil chiltis was that sharp vegetable, and gvina and cheese mutar b'chesim echad. They're allowed with one symbol. Shmuel chatichas dagshem b'simin hainu basar. Shmuel, according to Shmuel, why doesn't he have the ches? He says that's the same as meat. It says meat needs a double seal and also fish needs a double seal, but he doesn't have to list it separately. He's not going to list every type of fish. He's not going to list every cut of meat. So it's all the same fish and meat. It's basar. He doesn't have to say two types of. I'm sorry, did I skip something? No. I think there's another version to this Gemara. Rashi has a whole thing over here. What about pas? What he's suspecting for? Pas has Rashi, that thing with pas where we said before that bread. What are you worried about? If it's hot, then switching with cold. All of this. This was all an explanation why Shmuel doesn't have it. It says because you have nothing to worry about anyway. I don't think so. Why would you say that? It looks like challah. No, but that's not bread. That's just Shabbos. What about a regular loaf of bread? Kosher and non-kosher. All the same bread, right? And they slice the bread, the rye bread. They're all the same.
The fish don't have seals because the seal eats fish.
Someone tell me, how come they don't put Jews in prison? Because they eat lox. Right. No, but the braided was specifically a Shabbos thing. They would braid 6 braid, and then they would end up with 2 6 braids, and end up with 12 pieces of challah comparable to the showbread in the temple. It's just a decorative Shabbos. Okay, Taner Rabbanan. In the Bryce saying Leichen Yimach and Mecheg Besuria. These items that we just said need a double seal. You can't buy them in Syria. Now, Syria, talking about Jewish people, and however, they would buy things from non-Jews. They wouldn't eat it if it wasn't kosher, but it doesn't mean that they wouldn't resell it. That's what it seems. You have to be careful what you buy over there. Lo yayin, what is it? Now we go through the acronyms. Not wine. Le murias, le cholav, le melech, sal kundris. We said the Gemara was going to explain what it is. Did we actually explain it? Melech sal kundris. Yeah, in the Mishnah we have melech shal kundris, shal kundis. The Gemara is going to explain it on Lametes and Beis, Rashi says. But it's interesting. In the Mishnah it was spelled with a shin. Here it's spelled with a samach. All right. No, before it was salt. That said salt. V'loi chiltis, and not this type of vegetable, like gvina, and not cheese. Element amumcha, only from an expert. Why is an expert going to make a difference? Maybe he's more trusted because he doesn't want to lose his profession. The Kulan, however, all of these things, this is only if you're buying it from him. But it doesn't mean that he would serve it to his family. So therefore, if you're at the person's house in Syria, it's not a problem. You're allowed to eat it. Because he keeps kosher. This supports Rabbi Shua ben Levi. Rabbi Shua ben Levi, Shagalei Balabayas Lebeisei Mutter. Shua ben Levi says that if he sends you a piece to the house, a gift, you're allowed to eat it. My time. Reason is if he sends you something, he's sending it from the table. He's not sending it from the store. So it would send you, the pans from his table. He would take a pan and say, or a platter and send it to you. So that's because that's what he was serving. And so therefore you can trust it that it's kosher. Now the Gemara goes into this melech salakundris, my melech sanjakundris. What is this melech salakundris? Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Shmuel. Rav Yehuda says, name of Shmuel, this is melech, this is a type of salt. Shekol salkundri raimi. Salkundri means the bakers. All the bakers of Rome, Eichlamai said they eat it. And the problem is that they would put in it fish inside in the insides of the fish. Is there a word for the insides of the fish? Okay.
They would mix the salt.
No, they're opposite. They would mix the fat into the salt. Yeah.
Wow. Oh, to make it.
Wow.
Okay. Well,
We say we use squares. So that's sugar.
on salt cubes.
Salt cubes.
This salt that has in it this fish oil, which could be a problem because sometimes there's non-kosher fish that's mixed in. Well, shchayra, if it's black, asura, it's asur. Lavana, if it's white, muteris, then it's muter. And divrei Rabbi Meir, that's Rabbi Meir's opinion. Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yehuda says lavana is asur. Exactly the opposite. The white is the one that's prohibited. Shchayra is muteris, and if it's black, that's going to be it's going to be permitted. Rabbi Yehuda ben Gamliel, Mishum Rabbi Chanina ben Gamliel, Aimer, probably brothers, says zu v'zu asur, they're both prohibited. Amar Rabba bar B'chanan Rabbi Yochanan. Rabba bar B'chanan says in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, l'divrei ha'aimer levana asura, according to Rabbi Yehuda, that said the white one is asur. What's the reason? Kirvei dagim levanim tmeim u'ravim ba. It's because we're concerned that the insides of some white fish are mixed into this salt. L'divrei ha'aimer shchayr asur, according to Rabbi Meir, that says the black one is asur. Kirvei dagim shchayrim tmeim u'ravim ba. It's because the inside of the black fish are mixed in, and that's why it turned it black. Because it can mix in one or the other. Probably has to do with location or store or something like that. Amar Rabavo says, Mishum Rabbi Chanina ben Gamliel, that there's another issue here. Name of Rabbi Chanina ben Gamliel, Zakin Echrei B'Shchuna. There was an elderly person in our neighborhood. Shemachlik Panav B'Shuman Chazir. He would actually take fat from a pig and to rub it on the side of the salt. It's another issue. Maybe it would make it hold it together. They would make big pieces of salt out of this. Make it shine. Harelo asurim. These are asur be'achila. That's what we said in the Mishnah. The Mishnah started off, the following are asur ba'achila, but mutter ba'ana. We give the list, and then we conclude. It says these are asur ba'achila, prohibited to eat, but mutter ba'ana. The Gemara says, why do you have to repeat that? What are you coming to tell me? You already said that at the beginning, when you started the list. It says, we had, in here, we had the pickles, the things that were pickled, that if they would put in, it was the derech to put wine and vinegar in. So if we had a machlekes, what happens if you, not just it's the derech, not just it's the way, but if you actually know that there was wine, do you say that it's also asur bahana? So according to Chizkiel, it's coming to tell me that only these ones are going to be mutter ba'hana, asr ba'chila, prohibited to eat, but permissible to have benefits from. However, if you know that there's wine in it, then it's also going to be prohibited to have benefits from. Even though it's just talking about pickles. But if you know there's wine in it, you can't have benefit from. Rabbi Yechanan, but according to Rabbi Yechanan, that didn't say that. So what's going to be for him? It says, Lamutim Muris Agvina Besaniki with stomach Reb Meir. According to Rabbi Yechanan, we're saying something interesting here. We're saying that we left out cheese of Besaniki and Murias because we're following the opinion of Reb Meir in the previous Mishnah, where Reb Meir held that Murias in the cheese is Asr Bahana. In this Mishnah that's leaving it out is because we're following this anonymous Mishnah is following the view of Reb Meir that says that it's Asr Bahana. Okay. Yeah, Nike. Yeah. Let's do it. The following are permissible, not just Bahana, but you're even allowed to eat them. Milk that was milked by a non-Jew and a Jewish person was watching. So you don't need to have a Jewish person doing the milking. It's enough if a Jew is watching. I understand today that the milk is done without any human intervention. It goes automatic. The animal, when it senses, there's a machine that senses if the animal needs to, they're ready to give the milk, and then it like prods it down a certain path, like it's like a zap or something. In order for that zap to go off, it has to go into a certain thing. And then the zap goes off, and then over there it gets milked, and there's no. Probably we would still need a Jew to watch it, to be a mashgiach. Rabbi Korf, Alav Shalom, used to go with Rabbi Weberman to get Chol Yisrael milk with some farmer somewhere. And, one time the guy asked him, said, "Why do you have to come? I can do it." And told him, he said, "We don't trust you." He wasn't able to go back. The guy didn't let him back. Rabbi Weberman had to go on his own. Didn't Rabbi Korf was too honest. Yeah. Anyway, okay.
Also, you don't trust your workers. So if he's the owner of the fleet of cows, they're not the guys that are doing the washing. You always have the Mexican.
Right.
So
Right.
that farmer's not very smart. You want to do business with people like that. He'll tell you to your face. And he doesn't trust you.
The farmers are farmers. And their standards. Okay. Radvash, honey. Honey, we had nothing to worry about. I think even today, nothing to worry about with honey. You can get raw honey. I don't know if it's cooked. I think there may be a problem. But raw honey, unless maybe there's bee particles in it. That depends how they harvest honey. Sometimes they harvest it in a way that there's like the legs or yeah.
It's not filtered.
It's unfiltered. But Davdivanias are clusters of grapes. How do you say a cherry in Hebrew? Like duv davan or something.
Yeah.
It's funny that's like so close to this. Okay, here it means grapes. Even though the grape juice, the grapes are dripping, but it does not make the grapes considered to be mukhshar, susceptible to impurity. See in the Gemara. And kvashim shein darken lasel sechin yan v'chaimitz. The type of pickles that it's not the derech to put in wine or vinegar. Real pickles, only use salt, no vinegar. Fish shein chufa. This is a type of fish but it's not chopped up. You still see the whole entire fish there. Like the sardines, except the sardines are missing the head, right? But you have the whole fish. Tir sheyesh badaga. This is the brine that has in it that fish that would only be in that fish, a kilbis fish that's only in kosher brine. But Allah shel chiltis. This is not the actual chiltis, that vegetable itself. This is the leaf of the chiltis. Yeah, the leaf of the chiltis, which was the sharp vegetable. They say galim. This is olives that are collected in some sort of round container. Okay, we'll see in the Gemara. Rabbi Yossi says, Hashlachim asurim. These olives, if they're shlachim, how do they translate shlachim there? Which one? Those with pits ready to fall out are prohibited. Explain. Gemara will explain. Okay. And okay, now, this is grasshoppers that come from the basket. Those are prohibited. And mina heftek mutarim. If they come from some other container where they're salted, those are going to be mutter because over there they don't put the wine on those things. Over there they wait till it's sold. And when you're buying it, they would sprinkle a little wine. But if you don't want the wine, then they won't put it on. The truma, and the same thing applies to truma, which we'll see. It probably has to do with the mukhshel kabul tuma. Okay. Tanina had the Tanur Rabbanan. The Gemara starts off that we have a brisa that spells out what we were understanding from the Mishnah. It says in the brisa, Yoshev Yisrael b'tzadedra shel Eved Kechavim. A Jewish person can sit next to the animals, the flock of the non-Jew. And the non-Jew could do the milking and bring him the milk. He doesn't have to worry. He just has to sit on the side. What's the case? If there's no impure animals in the whole flock. Good morning. You want to join us? Okay. Yeah. Here's the English. We're in the middle of this paragraph.
39.
So, if there's a non-kosher animal in the flock, if there's no non-kosher animal in the flock, then pshita, of course, there's nothing to worry about. The Jew is sitting there. If there is a non-kosher animal in the flock, why is it permissible? Could be he's going to add it in. He's going to add in maybe some non-kosher milk into the milk. It says, really, there is a non-kosher animal. When the Jew is standing, he's able to see what he's doing. If he's sitting like chazile, he's not able to see. The Gemara says that could have thought that since he's sitting like chazile, so he's not able to see nechash, and therefore would be concerned. Maybe he's going to mix in the non-kosher milk. Mashmalan comes to teach us, given the chikai, since when he would stand, chazile would be able to see what he's doing. So to simirtas. So the non-Jew is going to be afraid. He's not going to mix in the non-kosher milk into this.
It's not kosher milk. I mean, it's a cow, right?
Talking about that in the flock, he also has camels. He also has donkeys. He also has pigs, and it may mix it in to make it more fatty. Or today, there's a big movement for camel milk. Yeah, there's people that think that camel milk is much healthier and pushing it,
Good for
pushing like the government or something to do something with camel milk.
hopefully the price of cow milk goes down. Drink cow.
Yeah.
It's not kosher.
No. When I was a kid, so my mother went out once to the store. She said I should watch the oven. There was a cake in the oven. I should watch it. Now I was probably like 5 years old. I didn't know like what she meant to watch it. Like, what do you mean watch it? How do you want to watch it? So there was like a little window in the oven. So
Yeah.
I figured I'd watch it, but I couldn't really see anything. So I opened the door of the oven so I could watch it. And she came back. She sees me with the chair sitting by the oven. I says watching it. She says no, you have to. The door has to be closed. So he told me I should watch it. Anyway, the mashkiach, he doesn't need to mamish watch what like to watch like to watch. Yeah, it has to be around to make sure no one's doing anything. To be around. That's what we're learning over here. At least in this instance, the mashkiach that's checking vegetables has to watch it a little different. But just to make sure that there's nothing like that. That's good enough. Okay. Dvash, when it came to the honey, Dvash Lamei Nechus, what are you worried about in the honey that you said that you're allowed to eat it? What could be a concern? If there's a mixture of something that's like maybe something non-kosher, wine, let's see, mixed in wine, Mr. Sorry, that would make it taste sour. The honey was supposed to be sweet. If it's because maybe it gets cooked by a non-Jew. But 1 second, one of the laws of food being cooked by a non-Jew is that if it's edible raw, then there's no problem with it, right? Honey could be eaten raw. Maybe the kalim, maybe the pots have absorbed into it a flavor of non-kosher food, and now when you cook the honey, that flavor is going to go out into the honey. So for that we say, nice and tam gamu mutter. It's not going to give a good flavor; it's going to give a bad flavor. And when it gives a bad flavor, we say that flavor is nullified and it's nothing. Now, Devania is when it came to the cluster of grapes. Even though it's dripping, it's not going to make it susceptible to impurity, because we'll see. Because he didn't want it to drip. Yeah. He says, for a minute, 1 second, there's a contradiction to this. Someone that harvests grapes because he wants to press them and he wants to make it into wine. Shammai says, Machlekas Hill and Shammai. Very rare to have a Machlekas Hill and Shammai. There's only 3 of these in the whole Shas. There's many Machlekas in Beis Hillel and Beis Shammai. But actually, Hillel and Shammai themselves, there's only 3. So Shammai says that it's susceptible to impurity. Hillel says that it's not susceptible. Hillel Shammai, and Hillel then agrees that Shammai is correct. Why are you telling me that it's not considered susceptible to impurity? In order for food to be susceptible to impurity, it has to be wet. Here it got wet by the wine. Wine is by the juice from the grape, which is fine. That makes it susceptible. Other fruit juices won't do it, but this does do it.
Has no connection with the previous that it's to detriment. It's just
Oh, so 1 second. My answers, yeah.
Do is also do could also make it susceptible to
Yeah, do it. Very good. Yeah. How many liquids are there? Are there 7 or 9? 7?
milk, honey,
Yeah.
blood, wine,
Um,
water.
Said blood?
Yeah,
Wine.
shahadam.
Yeah. Wine, honey, oil. You say
Oil.
Oil. That's okay. Very good. So, remind me your name? Alejandro. Very nice. So the Gemara says, "Hasam kaboyle lemashka, hachale kaboyle lemashka." There's a big difference. Over there, they wanted to squeeze it. So when it starts coming out, so they're fine with it coming out. So that's why that what came out makes it susceptible. Over here, you wanted to eat it as table grapes. So when it starts to get all juicy, people don't like it. They want it to be firm and like that, not with crushed and juice all over it. Okay. Fish and chufa. We're talking about the fish that's not chopped up. What's the fish that's not chopped up? Called shireish v'shidra nika. Do they give a word for tris? Article just says tris. It's a type of fish. What does it mean it's not chopped up? It says if you can see the head and the spine. What is the brine that has in it the fish that proves that all the brine is kosher? We're on top of page 40. Any barrel of brine that has in it one or two kilbis fish, these fish would live in this brine.
What you mentioned about the other fish is that the name itself means kind of like this.
Just means that it's minced. It's saying it's shufa, but it's not mixed. It's not you're still able to tell. So what does it mean that it's not mixed? It's not shufa would mean like scrambled. It's not scrambled, so that's because you can still see the head and the spine. Now the Gemara says that what's the brine that's kosher? It has in it this fish that lives in kosher brine. That has it. It says that it has one or two. So the Gemara asks, you told me that if it has one in it, you said that it's mutter. If it has two, for sure it's going to be mutter. Why? Right? This is like when you sell something. How much does it cost? $5-10. Well, if it costs $5, I'm not paying 10. Right? So it says if it's kosher on for with one, why does he have to say that there's two? So the Gemara says like kasha. Kan bepsuches, kan bestumis. It depends. Is the barrel opened? So then you're going to need two in there, because it could be that it just fell in and not that it's growing in it. If the barrel's closed, then we say that it's growing in it, then even one would be enough. We'll see soon that there's other cases about this. Itmar. I have a statement from Amirayim. Rav Huna Amar Rav Huna says that in order to eat this fish, you have to be able to see the head and the spine. Nachman Amar or the head or the spine. Nachman says you don't need both, the head and spine, either one. Masav Ravukva Bar Chama. Ravukva Bar Chama has a question on both opinions, Rav Huna and Rav Nachman. He says, the Mishnah says that a sign of a kosher fish is fins and scales. What are you telling me about the head? The head and the spine, where do you get that from? Amar Abaya says, Kitanihi ba'ara uplamuda the damar shalatmeim. That was said when it says that you need fins and scales. That's because that fish, the heads looked alike, the kosher fish and the kosher fish. So you couldn't tell from the head. But over here, you can tell from the head. If it's a hammerhead, it's not kosher. I don't know if it's a hammerhead, but whatever. If it's that you can tell from the head if it's the kosher fish. Okay. Oh yeah. Rav Yehuda says in the name of Ula Machlekes. You had a Machlekes over here. If you need the head and the spine, or if you need just the head, and if you need the head and the spine, or the head or the spine. Machlekes, that Machlekes is l'tabel b'tzira. That's if you want to use the brine, you want to dip your bread into the brine. So then it's enough, according to one opinion, if only one of them is there, either the head or the spine. That's when you have a lenient opinion. Aval begufan, but if you're actually eating the meat of the fish, everyone would agree that it's prohibited unless you have the head and the spine. You need both, like the way Rav Nachman had it, the way Rav Huna had it. Amar Rab Zara, here says Mireish originally have a mitablin mitziran I used to always eat in the dip my bread into the brine. Then when I realized that the whole machlekes is only about dipping into the brine, so then but if you want to eat the flesh itself, then you need to have both the head and the spine. So B'tzir Namile, stop dipping into the brine as well, because I paskin like Rav Huna that says that you need to have both. He thought the opposite. He thought that the machlekes is to eat the fish itself, but everyone would agree, and Rav Huna would agree, when it comes to the brine, that it's enough just to have one or the other. Now he finds out it's exactly the opposite, that everyone agrees to eat the fish itself, it's usher. And it's only the brine. He says, well, I don't paskin like that opinion. So he became strict. I'm Rav Papa. Yeah?
A lot of times, like this brine is oil. But the oil is considered like the item itself. It's like the essence.
This is a juice that comes out of it. We learn from a pasuk, Hatmeim, Rabbi Stir. We learn from a pasuk that the juice that comes out, but it probably doesn't have the same status. That's why we're being more lenient about it.
Is it bottle b'shishim maybe?
Tosfos asks, Tzir Nami is also deraisa. He says we learn from the pasuk Hatmeim, Rabbi Stir. He says bottle. That's what he says. He says that tzir would be bottle if there would be something non-kosher, but the goof, it wouldn't be bottle because it would be a beria. It would be a whole item. It doesn't get bottle. So Ishikayach, very good. Daniel and the Tosfos. So the Amar of Papa Hilchas Ajtei Reish Shidin Nekeshel Kolachas Vachas. Papa says the halacha is that you need to have the head and the spine there of each and every one. Meisvei, the Gemara has a question. Pieces that have a sign on it, whether they all have the sign or whether some of them have the sign of Filabech, even if it's only 1 in 100. All of them are permissible. He brought a whole barrel of pieces, and they found the sign on one of them, and they allowed the entire barrel because they found one. This would be like, they have sometimes slices, salmon steaks, them, right? They get frozen, right, like that. In Costco, I think they sell a bag of, it's supposed to have skin on it. Let's say, or other fish or something, they have to say, so only one of them had the skin, or some are missing the skin. So do you say that it's all the same or not? So here it looks like you don't have to worry. If at least one of them has the skin on it, it's good, it's kosher.
With salmon specifically was one type of fish that you were allowed to have without the skin.
Yeah, they say salmon because of the color.
Yeah.
They say in Russia not. Apparently in Russia there's a fish that has a similar color that's not kosher. But in America, we only have salmon that has that color.
But
Although they're putting in a dye.
That's the concern that I have about that.
It shouldn't really. I guess what they're assuming is that they're only dyeing one fish. Only. It's a Tirgamar of Papa. This is a Kashan of Papa because Rav Papa said they have to have all of them like this. Papa says, we're talking about over there, all the slices were the same. So you know that actually, it's not just Shabbos. Rashi explains that if you would line them all up, you would see that it's all one fish. It was like a puzzle. If you would put them all together, like if a glass breaks, you want to make sure you got all the pieces. So you sort of put it back together to make sure that you didn't lose a piece on the floor. So here, when you have this fish, you line it up, and it turns out that this is exactly the fish that even though some of them don't have the sign, but it's fine because they all belong to the same fish. If that's the case, so then what's the chiddush? Why do you have to tell this to me? Well, the tema still misrami. Could have thought that maybe it turned out that they lined up. What do you know? And it doesn't mean that it's the same fish. Kamash Malan, that you don't have to be concerned about that. That if they line up, we say it's the same fish. Who arba the tzachanta was a boat of tzachanta. Tzachanta was the small fish that we said could be confused with another fish that was not kosher, and you couldn't see the scales, so you had to really know which one was which. So the asi l'sikra, it came to the place of sikra. Nafik Rav Huna bar Chinna. Rav Huna bar Chinna went out. Chazabei kilfi, he saw on it the scales. B'sharye, he said that it's mutter. Amalei Rava says to Rav Huna bar Chinna, Mi ika deshari ki agavna, basra deshchichi kilfi. This over here, we have a lot of other fish going on, a lot of kosher fish. How do you know that the scales that you saw were actually from the, what's it called? Apparently he didn't see it on the fish. He saw it like on the side of the boat or something. So how do you know the scales came from this fish? Maybe it came from the other fish that are kosher, and these fish aren't the kosher ones. Well, listen to this. Nafak shipuri de rava va'asar. They made an announcement. Shipuri means the shofar. They made an announcement with the shofar. From Rava's shofar went out and said, "Don't eat the fish." Well, it came out the Shipuri de Rav Huna bar Chinna v'shari. The shofar of Rav Huna bar Chinna went out and said that it's mutter. In Eretz Yisrael, they have these cars driving around with loudspeakers. If there's a funeral, they have that. You don't have this here. If you were in the Eretz Yisrael, you have no idea what I'm talking about. But you know what I'm talking about? They're just driving around the streets announcing. The Levaya, so and so. Anyway, they're announcing you can buy the fish from the Costco fish. Okay. Yeah, this ice cream truck. I'm Rab Yirmiyah Midifti Lididi Yamali Rapapi. Papi told me Kishar Rav Huna bar Chinna b'tziron. Rav Huna bar Chinna was only allowing the brine, aval begufan lai, but he didn't allow to eat the meat. Ravashi told me, Ravashi says, Lididi Amali Rav Papa, that Rav Papa told me, Kishar Rav Huna bar Chinna afila begufan. That Rav Huna bar Chinna, no, he was allowing to eat the actual flesh. V'anal le'meisar asrinan. V'ana and I, le'meisar asrinan. This is Ravashi saying. V'ana, I didn't say that it's aser because Rav Papa, Kamali Rav Papa, because Rav Papa told me that it's mutter. Le'meisar asrinan, but I also didn't allow it. The Amali Rav Yehuda, Mishmei Deula, Machlekes Atav B'tzirin, Av Begufan, Direkalat Shei Reish V'Nikar. But I didn't allow it because Rav Yehuda Mishmei Deula said that when do we say that there's a machlekes? When is that machlekes between Rav Huna and Rav Nachman about if you're allowed to use the brine and all of that with the if you need the head and the spine, and that was only for the tzir, and if we were going to paskin like Rav Huna, then we're going to have to be strict. So he was going to be strict about this. So that's why he didn't allow it. He didn't prohibit it because of Rav Papa. He didn't allow it because of Rav Yehuda Shmei Dula. They take out the li, I guess, because that was too early. That was several generations before Rav Ashi. Okay. Yosef. Oh, wow. Okay, let's stop by Yosef. See, we're not holding the second line and the wide lines. Okay, we'll leave it over here for today. Shikaya.
Okay, thank you. Have a great day.
Okay.
Call to